Welcome back to Mugello. Still gathering our breath after that absolutely rocketing Superstock 600 race that opened proceedings here on this beautiful Autodromo di Mugello. We've now got the big brother, the Superstock 1000cc championship race, a title that has already been decided in favour of none other than Danilo Petrucci. Perhaps that's hardly surprising, because Petrucci's been a really strong feature of the European Superstock 600 Championship, winning the last 3 rounds of that championship. In fact, 4 of the last 5 races were won by Danilo Petrucci on his Ducati, but it wasn't enough to defeat the Altea Ducati of his compatriot Davide Giuliano, who took the championship at the penultimate round at Magny-Cours. And that was all because of a couple of critical DNFs in Brno and the Nürburgring for Danilo Petrucci. Petrucci has put himself on pole position here. That's hardly surprising, really, with a 152.7 second lap on the number 9 Ducati, the Barni Racing Team Ducati. Barni, of course, have a big involvement on the world stage. It looks like they're going to get involved in a bigger team next year and get involved in running possibly in World Superbikes. They've got a good record here in Italy, of course. They are the reigning Italian Superbike champions, so nothing wrong with the machinery there. And Danilo Petrucci's certainly been proving that. The most touching moment for me in Petrucci's season was when he crossed the finishing line at Magny-Cours. He dominated the race. He knew that's all he could do to keep the championship open. And as he crossed the line, he was just looking back to see where Giuliano was, counting them across the line to see if he'd done enough. And the answer was he hadn't quite done enough. And he immediately pulled over to the side, flagged Giuliano down and gave him a big hug.
Oh, that sounds good. It's a horrible feeling that I've had it where you've crossed the line and all you're interested in is where your main rival is. So I've experienced that myself as well over the years. So it's pretty funny. But very sporting of him to do that.
It was. And a lovely, very, very black, hirsute, Italian-looking man is Danilo Petrucci. And he, of course, it can make a difference to where your future lies in the European Superstock 1000 Championship, because Davide Giuliano he was then given a wild card ride with Altea Ducati as Carlos Checa's teammate at Portimao, and performed quite respectably there. And instantly that opens up that possible avenue of a World Superbike ride.
Absolutely.
Next year.
It's strange how it works. It really is how your career path can just take a different route.
Yes.
Because of finishing first or second in one championship.
Yes.
By 1 or 2 points. It's bizarre how you could be quite interesting to look back at certain riders' careers and track what's happened in
it just fascinates me all the time.
Yeah.
The thing that brings it really home to me is unexpectedly how certain riders, you suddenly find someone comes into a championship and they're very friendly with somebody, and then you start tracing back their careers and you find, oh yes, they were in the same championship like 10 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they obviously got to be mates then.
When they were 16 years old, yeah.
One of the most surprising ones this year was when Marco Melandri snatched a late win from Jakob Smertz at Donington in World Superbikes. And in the interview afterward, he was just referring to him affectionately as Kuba. And when I checked back, I realised they'd done 125 Grand Prix together a decade earlier.
Oh, wow.
And you think, oh, right.
Something
okay,
you don't realise.
There are always connections there where career paths have crossed.
Yeah.
Now, there is your Team Italia.
Yep. Good
straight
to see.
away there on Danilo Petrucci. And he'll be looking to go out in style in this championship. He's already won it. He had race wins at Misano at the opening round. He only finished a mere 4th at Monza, where he seemed to just lack straight line speed. And then he won at the second visit to Misano. And then he crashed out literally on the second corner of our second visit to Misano. And then Mugello, he won the Saturday race at Mugello, and then only got 1 point for 15th place, recovering to 15th at Mugello in the second race, and then won at Vallelunga. The other men on the front row of the grid include this man, Lorenzo Savadori, on his Ducati. Now, Savadori has been an interesting character, because Lorenzo Savadori's been there and thereabouts in this championship throughout, but not just as consistent as you would expect. Number 45, now there's a familiar figure, and also of course a familiar number, because Gianluca Visiello on the team Trasimeno Yamaha R1 has been a Yamaha rider absolutely forever. He won the European Superstock 1000 Championship for them several years back, and he's always been on a Yamaha, and you don't expect the R1s to be, they're nowhere near the front in the European Superstock round, but they seem to be able to run quite strongly here in Italy.
No, it's so not the chosen race tool. I mean, the R1s, I've got to say, it's a lovely bike. It's a lovely road bike, and I've ridden it quite a few track days. I do lots of track days with focused events, and you get out on this R1 and it does everything you want it to do. It just lacks top speed for some reason. It's got the best mid-range, the bottom end's dead soft power, so it's really predictable, but especially on a track like this where you definitely need some horsepower, it's not the chosen Superstock. That's why we are in Italy, so for some reason, shock horror, the Ducatis seem to, the Superstock Ducatis work well in Italy, but nowhere else. Like in the UK, no one's on a Ducati in the Superstock Championship.
Absolutely not.
It's usually BMWs, Kawasaki's especially, you know, the new Kawasaki's.
This is Marco Bucciolotti on one of those Kawasaki's. We've already seen that your young friend Leandro Mercado is there in 6th place on the grid on one of the Kawasaki's as well. He's the Argentinian teenager that you've come across racing strongly in the USA. This is Marco Bucciolotti, who's something of a kind of old hand at this game. This is how the championship looks. It's all up for 2nd place. Petrucci has won it, but even Clementi and Perotti neck and neck for 2nd place. Bucciolotti, who we've just seen, is also in contention for that place. So too even is the mad Michele Magnoni. And then we've got Alfonsi in 6th place, former European Superstock 1000 champion, ahead of Mercado in 7th. Behind Mercado, we have in 8th place Andrea Antonelli. And this is how the grid looks. Petrucci, even Clementi, 2 points clear in 2nd place. Lorenzo Savadori, Gianluca Visiello, who finished 2nd in that European Superstock 1000 Championship. I beg your pardon, I was granting him a title he never actually won. He lost it to his mate there, Alfonsi, now on a BMW. Mercado is 6th on the grid, ahead of Della Checa and Bucciolotti. And then we have Perotti, and then we've got Corradi, Antonelli and Michele Magnoni's BMW in 12th place. And if the grid goes further back, check out this. We have the mad-eyed man from Adelaide on a Kawasaki for the Pedercini team. Billy Skippy McConnell has qualified in 16th place. We have no idea what he's doing here. We'll find out as soon as we can. He's been racing, of course, successfully in the British Supersport Championship for the last 3 or 4 seasons, Billy McConnell. And I've got a feeling that he'll be thrusting forth from 16th place.
Well, Billy's a great rider, and I'm pretty confident he won't have been at this track before. So
no, he hasn't ridden this track before.
With the Italian Championship, you don't get a lot of practice time, so that's why he's so far down on the grid. But he's a bit of a racer, is Billy, so I'm pretty sure he'll be attacking and coming forward.
Knowing that he's only got 12 laps to do it in, because this is a 12-lap race. But it's great to see Billy McConnell over here and having a go out on a 1000cc bike, because, of course, except for one slightly ill-fated, too early outing a season in British Superbikes, he's always been on the 600s. But it's going to be an intriguing race, this one. Everything to play for. Perotti is one of the men in with a chance of 2nd place in the championship. Welcome back to the beautiful Italian sunshine of the Autodromo di Mugello. We are preparing for the 1000cc Superstock race. Checking out their number 86. That's looking back down the grid a fair distance. This is Antonello.
It looks just perfect though. Look at the weather. It's
a beautiful day.
It'll be cold for these Italians, but for us Brits, we'd have our t-shirts on now.
We're loving it. We have our t-shirts on now, and we're loving it.
Of course we are.
And this is Jabielli. We're looking back down the grid at some of the, I dare I say, also runs. But we also, during the break here in Mugello, have been talking about how strong the depth of this championship is, with people like Petrucci, Clementi, Savadori, Vizziello, Alfonsi, former European Superstock champion, Mercado, Argentinian whiz kid who's run strongly in the USA, Della Checa, Marco Busalotti right in the running for that second place in the championship on Kawasaki. We've got Michele Magnoni, who is just one of the most exciting characters to watch anywhere on a race bike. He's qualified 12th for BMW. We've got Billy McConnell getting to grips with this track on his first visit. Who knows what the Australian could produce here. He's been a runner-up in the British Super Sport Championship in 2009 behind Steve Plater. Finished 5th in 2010, finished 3rd this year on the TAG Oxford Triumph, and I think is going to be campaigning a triumph again in 2012. So look out for Billy McConnell. Wild carding for Lucio Pedercini's Kawasaki team. He's qualified in 16th place. The man on pole position, and surely the red-hot favourite for the race on left of picture, is number 9, Danilo Petrucci, fresh from having been presented with his runner-up trophy at the annual gala dinner just last weekend at Portimao on the Algarve in Portugal. That was as runner-up in the European Superstock 1000 Championship. Gala dinner that I'm sure you will remember very fondly from 2003 when you received your World Championship winning trophy, Neil. Yeah,
it's always good. You get to the last round there, and it's funny because all your competitors, all the tension, everything goes. It's the you know, on Sunday night, once all the racing's out the way, the championship's done, most of the riders, all they want to do is have a beer and
yes.
and generally hug each other. It's quite bizarre. It's funny how such bitter rivals can become such good friends once they've had a few beers.
I always assume that you are pretty much good friends, because you kind of I always appreciate that you have to kind of look after one another a bit on track. I realise that there are moments when that doesn't happen, like Gregorini's assault on Leonov in the last race, but generally speaking, the guys have that kind of underpinning of respect.
Yeah, of course it is, and it's obviously you've got so much in common. We are essentially, you are very similar in lots of ways, you know. So once the racing's out of the way, especially now for someone like myself who's retired, not that I had lots of enemies or anything, but let's say someone like Chris Walker, I'd love to spend time with Chris Walker. There's not 1% of ill feeling towards him because we had great battles. It's the opposite. I've got total respect for someone like that.
So this is the final round of the Superstock 1000cc Championship, a championship already wrapped up by Danilo Petrucci from Terni to the north of Rome. In Umbria it is, to the north of Rome, so way south of here, riding for the Team Barney Ducati team.
And watch out for Petrucci. You've got to watch out for him because he's like a scolded cat. He just goes, you know. I mean, he's 0.5 of a second faster than everybody in practice, but his normal style is he likes to get the good start and he just goes. So
he dominates a race.
He really does dominate, and he loves to dominate from the front.
And also, it's his 22nd birthday. Sorry, where are we? 2011. It's his 21st birthday tomorrow. He has a big day tomorrow. The man on pole position, I've just realised, on the Barney Racing Ducati, turns 21 tomorrow. So what better way to go out than clinch a championship and a race win?
Yeah.
Rolling up to the start, the Superstock 1000cc CIV Italian Championship grid. 12 laps ahead of them here at Autodromo di Mugello. That's 62.94 kilometres to be precise. The man on pole position on left of picture will be number 9, Danilo Petrucci. There he is on the Team Italia-backed Barney Racing Team Ducati, and even Clementi's BMW alongside him, the wily veteran ahead of Lorenzo Savadori and Gianluca Vizziello. Second row of the grid, Alfonsi, Mercado, Della Checa and Busalotti. Everything to race for second place in the championship. It's a tight one. Clementi, Perotti, Busalotti all involved. When the lights go out, 12 laps ahead of them. Heads down, getting the drive down to the back wheels on these monster 1000cc production bikes, launching it down this huge straight towards the first turn, and Petrucci getting the start that he wanted will lead the way into turn 1.
It's exactly what we thought. Petrucci, a whole shot, and he just instantly, his body language looks aggressive. It just looks like he wants to lead. He don't want to get involved in any of these scraps.
Wow. And Petrucci, who's been a race winner 4 times so far this year out of 7 rounds, looking to make it 5 out of 8. We're on the first lap of 12 here at the Autodromo di Mugello. Beautiful setting, perfect weather. Danilo Petrucci leads the way, as you might expect him to do, on the Barni Racing Team Ducati. Look at that, the field streaming down here, 36 riders out there. Petrucci leads it, Lorenzo Savadori in second place.
And he's stretching it. What happens when you get someone like Petrucci, who's obviously a really fast rider? When he gets the lead, he sort of stretches the pack really early on. And he's look at the way he's going. I mean, this is the first lap.
Yeah,
he's on his way.
He's on his way, and only Savadori is able to hang on to it at the moment. The old warhorse and former European champion in the 600 class, former World Supersport contender, Alessio Carradi's in third place on a BMW. He's just got levered aside there by Leandro Mercado. The big, tall, strong Argentinian muscles his Kawasaki through into third place, I think. Looking for the number there, it's number 20. No, it's Andrea Antonelli on the Fireblade. Antonelli has made a move. Oh, he's obviously trying to please a British audience here, because he's now being managed, believe it or not, by Michael Hill, a former British 125 GP racer from my native Teesside. Michael comes from about 3 miles from where I do, up in County Durham. Petrucci leads it, Savadori second. Antonelli, is he going to be outpaced? He is. Look at the BMW of number 8, Carradi, just launching past the Honda down the straight.
And that's what you expect. The Honda's not known for its top speed. It's a really good all-round bike, but it's not a missile. We know the BMWs are the fastest out there. Well, the BMWs and Kawasaki's.
Billy McConnell's made a couple of places already. The Australian up to 14th place in his wildcard appearance for Pedercini Kawasaki. So it's Petrucci, Savadori, Carradi, Andrea Antonelli nudged back to 4th place, ahead of Mercado in 5th, Visiello 6th, ahead of Visiello and Alfonsi. They've spent their whole careers nailed together, those two. Magnoni, disappointingly, is only in 10th place, so we may not see too much of him. Billy McConnell there in 14th, ahead of Salvatore and Rosso.
And the leading two, they're literally, they're pretty much 3 seconds ahead of third place already, which is... They're off
a standing start. Petrucci, 58.85. There he is, leading the way. Impressive ride, though, by the man behind him, Savadori. Lorenzo Savadori, who qualified in 3rd place on the grid, but was, a hacking great 1.1 seconds on his lap time behind the race leader there, Danilo Petrucci.
But Salvadori, he's a bit of a follower. He's always been able to tag onto the back of people. I've seen him in qualifying. He sometimes does struggle to do an out-and-out lap on his own, but when he gets the race, he can hang on to someone. And thankfully for our entertainment, he's hanging on the back of Petrucci.
Lorenzo Savadori has actually changed onto the team Barni Ducati midway through the season. He started the year off on a Kawasaki, and so interestingly, Savadori now is following his teammate. Now, that wouldn't have been the case at the beginning of the year, so he obviously is on similar machinery. Once again, look at the speed there of Clementi, number 8, just behind them there, trying to draft their way through. Oh, we've got Antonelli, we've got Mercado, number 36, they're fanning out. Number 4, Alfonsi's in there as well. Clementi back in 7th place, ahead of Visiello. Magnoni goes 9th, ahead of Zerbo in 10th. Bucelotti is 12th, Musio 13th, locked together with Billy McConnell. No, McConnell's a couple of seconds behind. He's leading Salvatore in a battle for the final points, just inside the top 15. So these guys, look at that lap time by Savadori, 1:53.05 on that lap. So he was a couple of tenths of a second quicker than his teammate Petrucci.
And 2.3 seconds quicker than Carradi in 3rd place. Wow. I mean, it's a proper lap time.
So this is the battle for 3rd place on track. And you can see there's going to be a bit of fencing going on, because even Clementi looking for Perotti. Perotti's down in 11th place, not doing his 2nd place in the championship chances a terrible lot of good, because he's behind even Clementi. Clementi in 7th looks like the man who could be holding on to that 2nd place, because Bucelotti back in 12th place on his Pedercini Kawasaki. So this huge battle involving, well, we go there. That span of riders goes back to... Whoa, we've got a faller!
I thought that, I'm just thinking to myself, you can't go underneath someone there. You're going to clip the back of him, and that's exactly what he did.
there seem to be a lot of bends where people get sucked into that kind of move around this track.
And that is one of those corners, because the racing lines really leaves the door open. But then you have to turn the bike in aggressively for a late apex, and what happens is it invites people to come underneath, and then you close the door on them, and that's exactly what happened.
153.208. Petrucci quicker on that lap. Savadori not quite able to maintain the blistering pace that he showed on lap 3. So we're on to the 4th lap.
And my man Mercado, he's got up to 3rd place.
Yeah, Leandro Mercado on his Kawasaki, riding number 36, from Volta Mantovana. That's where he's based, of course, because he's with the Pedercini Kawasaki team. I think he's got punched back already by Antonelli. Antonelli's so quick through the turns on that beautiful silver BMW. And look at the threatening figure behind him, though.
Yeah, Mercado's he's a big lad. He's almost got the Ben Spies elbows. Really, really wide. You know, he just looks wide on the bike, doesn't he? Just because he's got his elbow. Look at that. That's a real Ben Spies look.
And he's even got the Ben Spies colour scheme. I mean, he's riding the Pedercini Kawasaki, but it's certainly not Pedercini colours. Look at that move by him, right up. That was great riding.
Looked easy. Yeah. He's got a very American helmet. I've got to say, that's my helmet. He's got my replica American helmet, believe it or not.
Well done, young man. I want to see you at the front with that.
I'm quite impressed that he's wearing my replica helmet. Top man.
Billy McConnell is now up to 13th place, of course, because we lost one of the contestants in this battle. You know, this battle contains 5 BMWs: Carradi, Clementi, Magnoni, Perotti, Zerbo, all running nose to tail, 5th through 9th, ahead of Busolotti's Kawasaki.
Tell you what, we've even got a KTM down in 17th place.
We have
Rosso on, which we rarely see in the Superstock Championship. In fact, there it is. Is that it? No, it's not. Sorry.
It's number 107 who's riding that, Nicolo Rosso, who only qualified in 25th place, so he's having a good ride. These are the followers, shall we say, because Petrucci and Savadori, 0.4 of a second apart, have already crossed the line. Look at Antonelli trying to break the toe by just about entering pit lane. He can't do it. He tries to respond under braking, and he does. Oof,
well, he does, but
that was sketchy.
Not giving up. That was very sketchy.
And that was even Clementi who was trying to get underneath him. I think Clementi might have held the line. No, Clementi, you can tell by the body language. Even Clementi's been around a long time. He doesn't want to get involved in too much of this kind of willy-nilly. He's a kind of cautious Clarence of a lad, Clementi.
Yeah, well, ex-Grand Prix rider was Clementi. He has been around for well over 10 years, so yeah.
And also World Superbike, of course. And that was the moment that... And we didn't see what number that was. Just clipping a back wheel.
He went down hard, though. He did into his shoulder.
Yeah, Clementi, number 8. His best effort in World Superbike was back in 2004 when he finished 12th.
So he used to do 125 Grand Prix as well before he got into the Superbike. So he's
you're right. Yes, actually, he used to do them on Aprilias, didn't he? Back in '96 and 94, 95, 96. I didn't realise he had that much experience.
Yeah, very experienced.
Known, of course, affectionately as Clem. He's now 36 years old. Still a youngster, actually.
Was he 36?
Yeah. Younger than you.
Spring chicken.
Yeah.
All right. Jack, let's not start talking about age, I think you've got a couple of years on me.
I've got several decades on you, Neil. I suppose what I was thinking was, you could even think about vaulting back onto a motorcycle, but...
no, we talked about that earlier, remember?
No, I don't want to. You did say that you don't want to. You thoroughly enjoy not having to race. Mercado, number 36, has escaped from this bunch. Oh, here comes Magnoni. Good to see him back in the picture. He's been picking his way through. Michele Magnoni on the BMW, number 119. Always a great character to watch in action. Rode the whole of the European Superstock Series last year. So Michele Magnoni, the 23-year-old from Cagli, launches himself through into 4th place, but not for long, because that's Clem just threading his way back past him again.
And Billy McConnell, he's squeezed his way up to 12th place now, so he's definitely moving forward. He's actually got... There's a bit of a gap now, like sort of 3 seconds up to 11.
Yes, he needs to learn this track quick and try and close the gap on Zerbo's BMW just ahead of him. So McConnell now 12th. Petrucci leads the way. This is the battle going on between Michele Magnoni and Ivan Clementi for 4th place out on track. Clementi with that distinctive style of his. There is Mercado. He's got through into 3rd place and has just gapped this lot. Michele Magnoni, who led back in 2007, led the European Superstock 600 Championship until half distance, with victories at Donington Park and Monza, and then it all went pear-shaped for him after that. Finished 3rd at the end of the year. But he was also 3rd in the European Superstock 1000cc Championship last season on the rostrum at Monza and Misano. And he's involved in that battle there, just behind Clementi. Behind them we've got Andrea Antonelli, and there's a move being made on I think that was Carradi suffering there. I think Perotti's waking up, possibly a little bit too late, but one of the men in with a chance of 2nd place in the championship. Perotti now moves through into 7th.
And looking at the times out front, Petrucci's now 1.6 seconds in the lead over Salvadori, and he's sort of just started lapping 0.4 of a second quicker.
Qui ai box con Marco Barnabò, Lorenzo Salvadori all'esordio sta andando fortissimo.
Sì, abbiamo usato questa gara per fargli fare un test, si è trovato subito bene con la moto e la squadra, vediamo cosa succede.
Ok, grazie a voi.
So the Barney Racing team looking, well, a little less enchanted than I thought they might, running very strongly 1st and 2nd. So half distance in the final race of the Italian Superstock 1000 Championship. Petrucci leads it on 6 laps ahead of Lorenzo Savadori. Leandro Mercado is 3rd. Even Clementi 4th ahead of Michele Magnoni, Andrea Antonelli. Then we've got Carradi, Perotto, Visiello, Busalotti, Zerbo and Billy McConnell in the top 12 in a rare outing for him on a 1000cc bike, the Australian from Adelaide. Bacci, Salvatore and the rest behind him. Sassaro, Di Viciaro, they're rounding out the point scorers. But it's Petrucci who clearly leads the way. He is already crowned champion. The battle for 2nd place behind him at the moment, looking as if it's going to fall in the favour of Ivan Clementi, number 18, riding for the Asia Competition BMW team, the veteran from Monte Giorgio. And it looks, look at this. I thought Mercado had got away in 3rd, but he hasn't. The battle for 3rd place is still open as they come charging on to the start and finish line. There is Mercado, number 36, right behind him. No, even Clementi wants to finish off the season in style with a possible pole position on the BMW.
And it's weird, Mercado, he pulled away and he was lapping
absolutely
like half a second faster, and then the last 2 laps he's been pretty much half a second slower. So that's really obviously it's helped Clementi. And up the inside. Oh, it's just a beauty of Mugello. You always have to leave the door open. The fastest way around this track is to go into these chicanes slow. You go slow in, fast out. All these look slow in, fast out. But because you go slow in, it gives the opportunity for someone to dive, to go fast in and literally do a block pass. So that's why racing's always so good around this track.
And someone just a mite braver or more foolish than that man, number 18, Ivan Clementi, would make one of those passes stick, I think.
Well, then he in a way he should have. Yes. You know what I mean? But he sort of hesitated. But
he who hesitates, etc. There's number 3, Perotti, once again trying to make a move and once again getting slugged up the inside when he left the door open on the racing line. There's Clementi, followed by Magnoni in 5th, and then this battle involving Carradi, Antonelli and Perotti. Fabrizio Perotti must be a bit disappointed with himself on the Play Racing BMW. He would have thought that he had a chance of 2nd place in the championship. There's a contrast in style, because Clementi's quite a small character and Leandro Mercado certainly isn't.
And Mercado's he's the new school rider style, you know, fully hanging off, your head down like almost past his hand. And Clementi's the older guy, the old school, where he sort of sits a little bit more central on the bike.
That's right, his kind of elbows are pinned in a bit. That's and he just kind of shifts his buttock a bit to slide into the turn.
It's funny how riding styles have changed over the last, probably the last 5 years. You only need to look at all the top MotoGP riders now, and they all pretty much ride the same.
Yes.
As in the riding styles, they're really hanging off those bikes. I mean, you've got Ben Spies he's got his elbows sticking out, but essentially his weight's in, you know, the front part of his body and his lower body is in the same position as Stoner, Lorenzo.
Yes, even though he's an altogether bigger chap.
Bigger chap, yeah.
The battle for third place, Leandro Mercado, Ivan Clementi. We were talking just a few moments ago about Ben Spies and his riding style, and I don't know how much does Leandro Mercado owe to the fact that he's spent time in the States, James, because it's certainly a very, very Ben Spies style. Obviously, it's part due to him being a 6 foot lad.
It's the exact same though, isn't it? It's a you know, you don't see many people ride like Ben Spies. I mean, he doesn't get the nickname Elbows for nothing. And when I first saw him ride, I thought, that's a strange riding style. I don't think that's going to be very effective. Which shows how wrong I can be.
This is Corrado, Antonelli and Perotti still punching holes out of one another in their battle for 6th place. Meanwhile, even Clementi, assured, surely, if he just stays there, of 2nd place in the championship, can just, in fact, get towed round by that man, Leandro Mercado, number 36. But I don't know, I think that he might want to get on the rostrum, because here are the two leaders, the Barney Ducati teammates. That's Savadori, he's in 2nd place, and that's the gap back.
I think if I was Petrucci's team manager, I'd be having a word with him saying, listen, we need you to slow down because we're getting no airtime at all. I mean, he literally just, he just clears off. The camera doesn't show him. I mean, obviously it is now because I've just mentioned that, but you know, very rarely we get to see Petrucci riding because he's normally 5 or 6 seconds in the lead.
And the fact is that I've never seen him slow up. He's always, when the races that he's nobbled in the closing stages of the European Superstock 1000 Championship, he's taken off like this at the front and just dominated.
Yeah, absolutely.
He likes to set his own pace and just live with it.
He does, and he looks so comfortable on that motorcycle. It's a little bit. It looks a little bit like Checker, as in he doesn't look hurried. He doesn't look over fast. He just looks smooth, precise. You don't see him miss apexes.
And you know, he's just consistently run 153s right through this race. A best lap of 153.2 and a last lap of 153.8.
Yes.
No one else is into those 155s.
No, so consistent.
2nd place, a harder working Lorenzo Savadori, now with the Barney Ducati racing team. You can see that he's still got his Kawasaki leathers from earlier in the season. Petrucci, I beg his pardon, what I meant was he's the only one in the 150. He's lapping in the 153s. Nobody else is. This guy's lapping 155.3 and Mercado Clementi in the 154s. So the leader is absolutely in a class of his own right now. This is the 2nd place, Lorenzo Savadori, and then look back through that lovely hollow in the sunshine, and the battle continues between Mercado and Clementi.
And what are you thinking, Jack? Who's your money on?
Mercado,
I
think Clementi, you know, it just occurred to me, talking about kind of different eras of riding style, doesn't even Clementi look a bit like Michael Rutter back home in the UK?
Exactly, and that's the old school riding style a little bit, and that's how I sort of ride a motorcycle, similar style to that, you know, not really hanging your body off too much.
Here's Andrea Antonelli, still ahead of number 45. Gianluca Visiello has got the leading Yamaha R1 into the mix here, and he's pushed his way through into a possible top 6 finish. 1st and 2nd place, Petrucci crosses the line ahead of Savadori. Mercado Clementi. 5th place to Magnoni, 6th for Antonelli. And then this battle, 7th Visiello, 8th Carradi, 9th Fabrizio Perotti. Perotti moves through under the brakes inside Corrado into 8th place. Alicio Corrado used to tickle me. He had the neatest, this side of Max Biaggi, he had the neatest facial hair I'd ever seen on a motorcycle rider. Before he got his helmet on when he was racing the World Supersport Series, always used to be a delight to see how well the razor had worked that morning.
It's neater than Biaggi's, or not quite?
No, it was slightly different, and it had more of a look of a Three Musketeer than Biaggi does. So Petrucci leads, it's Savadori 2nd, Mercado in 3rd, Evelyn Clementi, there he is, just behind Mercado in 4th. And then an isolated Magnoni, followed by this 4-way battle. Visiello, Carradi, Perotti involved in that. Bucelotti back in 10th place, way off the back of this, 7 seconds off the back. What you were saying about getting a good pace from the start in a short race like this, James, and that's something that Marco Busalotti just didn't manage.
It's so important that it's that first lap. Literally, you've got to, and we knew Petrucci was going to do that. And what Savadori did so well was hang on the back of him.
Yeah,
and that's just. He hung on for 3 laps, and that was his race done. Then that dragged him all the way into second place.
Yeah, because he's actually just running the pace of these guys,
exactly.
But he's clear of them.
Yeah, and like I said, he's always been good at following. So I've seen him before. He just got his hooks in and just held his breath for 3 laps, and that was the work done.
Incidentally, Skippy McConnell's always been quite good at crashing now and then, and he's disappeared from our timing screens. He was running in 12th place. He did, if you remember, after he'd won the Yamaha R6 Cup. That earned him a ride in the Virgin Mobile Yamaha R1 British Superbike team. He had 18 crashes that year on his way to 16th in the championship, and that was the last time I saw him ride a 1000cc motorbike. And
for obvious reasons,
we've lost him this time.
That's not a good sign.
So Petrucci into the last lap, 11 laps complete, 6.5 second lead over Lorenzo Savadori as we watch Fabrizio Perotti trying to get back inside Visiello. That's number 8, the distinctive Alessio Carradi on his BMW.
Oh, that was impressive. Antonelli then spinning that Honda up. So good to see.
He's working it hard, isn't he?
He's working it hard.
Whereas this guy just looking so comfortable.
Yeah, smooth, like I say. Every lap, it looks the same. Every lap never looks like he's out of shape. Dead smooth. Perfect, clipping all these apexes. I mean, you can do that actually when you're 6 seconds in the lead, but on the last lap.
So Danilo Petrucci, who won the last 3 rounds of the Superstock 1000cc championship and has also been a multiple winner in this championship series, headed for yet another race win and already having clinched the championship for the Barney Racing team.
And if you're a team manager, this would be a guy you'd want on your bike. I tell you, every time I watch him, he impresses me. So I don't know what his plans are for next year, but I'm sure he's well and truly sorted.
I don't know, but he still looked disappointed when he picked up his second place trophy at the gala dinner last Sunday night in Portimao. He still looked like a disappointed man who felt like he'd not taken advantage of a chance to be the champion.
Which is a good sign, though. You know, that's a good sign if he's still hungry.
And he wins the last race of the CIV Italian Championship in the Superstock 1000 class. Already, he is crowned champion for the Barney Racing team. Second in Europe, the winner in Italy for Danilo Petrucci. Second place, his new teammate Lorenzo Savadori. Third place, crossing the line, I would say, is Leandro Mercado. Kawasaki. Fourth, Ivan Clementi's BMW, and crossing the line now, we've got Magnoni finishing in 5th place. Antonelli gets the Honda across the line brilliantly in 6th, just ahead of Visiello's Yamaha, and Carradi and Perotti on the BMWs. So for Honda and Yamaha to outwit the 2 BMWs.
That was impressive.
That was good.
Did you see Antonelli weaving? Because you just knew he didn't have the speed. He didn't want anyone getting the draft off him. So good to see.
Stay away. Marco Busalotti rounds out the top 10 for Kawasaki ahead of Zerbo's BMW, Bacci's BMW, Salvatore's GSXR 1000 Suzuki. Good to see one of them out there. Diviciaro in 14th place. Cesaro grabs the last point ahead of Benato on Kawasaki's. But the man who does the winning on the Barney Racing Team Ducati 1098 is Danilo Petrucci, as he has been doing pretty much throughout the season. But certainly enough to win this championship. He wins the race by 6.5 seconds. Leandro Mercado, good to see him get on the podium. The big Argentinian ahead of Ivan Clementi, Michele Magnoni, Andrea Antonelli, Gianluca Visiello, Alessio Carradi, Fabrizio Perotti and Marco Busalotti. And then the lower point scorers, Zerbo, Erbacci, Salvatore, Diviciaro and Cesaro. Good to see a Suzuki in there. GSXR.
I can't believe you
Why
don't.
Aren't there more of them?
And again, I ride them a lot, and it's a great road bike. Honestly, I ride it on track. As far as it's just a good all-round bike. So I don't know. I mean, the trend with the Superstock Championship is most people go to the latest model. They want to buy the latest model because usually they've got a little bit more horsepower. But that Suzuki's not slow.
That is. So Danilo Petrucci, he's taken 4 race wins in the European Superstock 1000 Championship and now 5 race wins in the Italian Championships. Finished 2nd and 1st respectively in those 2 series. What a year. Danilo Petrucci takes victory in the final round of the European Superstock 1000 Championship, a day short of his 21st birthday, so he can relax and have fun tomorrow. He did it the right way, off pole position. On the left-hand side of screen, Petrucci just launched off the pad and had his head down, the front wheel perfectly pawing the air, just millimetres off the ground, getting all the drive that he needed to set up the right line into turn one. His teammate Lorenzo Savadori made a great start alongside him, did the right thing, clung on to his teammate in the early laps, and that drew them well clear of the rest of the pack on the two Ducatis. So Danilo Petrucci had the lead while a huge 10-man battle went on for 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th places. And it could get pretty entertaining out there. There were several riders involved, including number 8, Alessio Corradi, even Clementi going for 2nd place in the championship, which he eventually won on bike number 18. We lost one of the gang when they clipped a back wheel, sucked too fast into the right-hander. And then Leandro Mercado, the Argentinian teenager, burst away into 3rd place. Even Clementi followed him, but no one could get near Danilo Petrucci. The Barney Racing team, already crowned champions, looked really strong at the front. Petrucci then leads the way, takes victory in the race, has already sealed the championship. Incidentally, we'll be back in 1 hour's time with the rest of the live action with Mugello. Enjoying some WRC action in the meantime here on Motors TV, but we'll be back with all the live action from Mugello, the climax to the CIV Italian Championship. So join me, Jack Bernicle and Neil Hodgson, in an hour's time. See you then.